It's LSE time. Enjoy. Please check you're subscribed. If you want to contact me, then it's churchhouseclassics, and that's all one word, @gmail.com. There's only one of me. Please be patient. And if you want to support the channel, then there's a PayPal me link scrolling down here. Enjoy the video. Lots of EAS action in this one. Right, so what I've done is I've just fixed the solenoids back to the billet body, so to speak. But the valves are not in here. The valves are in the box over there. So I'm just going to take one solenoid off at the time. Be sure I'm happy and clean. Replace the seals, and then pop it back together again. So this solenoid is this little chappy here, and I believe there's just two fixings on this. I don't think there's anything on the valve on the inside, but we will have a look. Right, so the only seal I've actually got inside the solenoid valve itself is there's a seal just on the shaft there. So remove the inside part of the solenoid. I'll go back in a second. And then here, on the end here, is a seal. Oh, there he goes. Look at that little bastard. That's quite brittle actually, that one. So there's a bag of these here. They're exactly the same size. Fabulous. Knife. One of these. Back on there. Still got Vaseline on my fingers. For now. Right, it's thinking about going on. Trouble is I'm trying to roll it on and it doesn't want to roll on because it just rolls straight back off again. So it needs to actually push down onto the seat like that. Otherwise it rolls back off again. Because one of the issues with putting Vaseline on your fingers is you're picking up all the grip. Right, so there's the body. What have I done with the insert? It was there not 2 seconds ago. As it rolled under here, there it is. Right, careful of the spring on there. That goes back in there again. That goes into the body. I did mark up the cover with a dot, just so I know which way round it all goes back together again. Line these two back up again. Which is quite a cack-handed affair, I'll be honest. That seal's come off already. You see how much fun this is. Right, let's put it in that first, and then let's put that in this. That's better. That goes in. Right, and then two screws. And what I need to do is when this is all back together, I shall plug it back into the ECU and we shall just double check that each of the solenoids is opening and closing as it should. Right, I'm able to push that together, so that is going to go in. Right, then there's two more O-rings on the underside of the valve. One there, a little baby one in the middle here. Just chuck the old ones down there for a second. And then lastly, on this one solenoid at the end here, there's a big square gasket that goes around the edge here. And they all come, helpfully, in one bag. So let's shift these two. Check these are the right size first and foremost. They are. They can then go in the shit box. And then these can go into the valve. the valve can go back onto, well, that's already fallen out, that needs a bit more Vaseline on there. The valve can then sit back onto the top of the valve block, and then there's 2 screws that hold this in place, little fellas. Just check there's no grit or anything there. There isn't. That's all looking good. All the seals are off in there, and then because these 2 holes here, that one and that one, are the ones that actually are the throughput of air. And then once we've got this on, we can then put the top cover on. 6 more to go after this. There's nothing particularly exciting about the other 6, so I'm going to carry on and do those. The only difference between the other 6 and this one is the other 6 don't have the big square gasket that goes around the outside. Ben's helpfully moving a dinosaur. Right, square gasket. Goes in. Goes on. And then screws down. And that is it for that one. Then on with the screws. There. Again, dot of thread lock, because they don't do it particularly tightly, but you don't want them really undoing. They shouldn't undo. You had thread lock on them before, so they're going to get thread lock on them again. And you can see I've helpfully numbered up each of the solenoids before I took them all off. Because I'm guessing if I put the wrong solenoid on top of the wrong valve, then it ain't going to work, is it? It's going to open the wrong corner. Right, and then they just get nipped up. Right, 1 done. 6 to go. There we go, that's the last of the solenoids. Now, apart from the first one that I showed you in the video, the rest of them don't have the square seal around the base of the solenoid. They actually have a round seal on top of the valve. Just make sure you pop those in. And a tiny bit of thread lock on each of these fixings, and I can move on to the input valve and the pesky non-return. This can all go over here, and then we've got this inlet valve. Now, this comes as part of the kit here. The problem I've had with this is that there are 2 different types of plastic cover that go on the outside of it. Rubbish, 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 rubbish. Put those in there. You don't want to get confused with those. That's rubbish. That wants to come out of there. There we are, that's out. Great. Okay. Now we've got this out, you see that you've got a metal cover over the outside of it. If I take the other one out, 2 seals, that doesn't have a metal cover on it, and it needs to. It needs to have this metal cover on it. And when you look at the 2 different seals, they're different. And because they're different, sometimes these metal covers don't fit. So go back to the original one, and that fits nice and snugly on there. We'll look at the new one. We may find that it doesn't fit nice and snugly on there at all, and it doesn't. So what we've got here is the early style Range Rover valve cover. So I'm going to have to reuse the old non-return valve until I can find a cover from a P38, which that seal will fit. You see what I mean? It's a pest. And of course you can't get the original classic non-return valve anymore because they all say, ah yeah, just use the P38 one, it fits. And it doesn't. It doesn't fit. And I'll show you why it doesn't fit, because then it will help you out. There's a lot of shit in there. Right, we'll clean that up in a minute. So if I pop that back in there, you can see it's nice and flush. Okay, look it out. And the seal. Oh. Then put the new seal in and the new cover. And no longer does it sit nice and flush. It sits proud. And that's your problem. That is where the problem comes in. It's only by about 1/2 mil, but it stops it from seating properly, and it just makes a lot of noise. Flush. It's this ring here I'm looking at. So that's flush there. If I put the other one back in, come on, bastard. Put the other one back in. Actually, that is now starting to look like it will fit, but we've now got a hulking great step here. Hear it? So that's your problem. Anyone come up with a solution to that? I will be impressed. So this lot just needs cleaning up next. I'll just blow through the ports, make sure it's all nice and clean, and then it can be assembled. Okay, so where are we? I have reconnected the box to the loom, and I've connected my EAS unlock software, and really all I want to do is just click on each one of these valves in exactly the same way as I did the other day, which was to, using the height setting, click the up and the down buttons on each of the corners, and it should activate a solenoid down here. So if I go front left corner, it's a reassuring clonk, isn't it? Down, and then front right, and down, rear right, and down, and rear left, and down. And then if I check on the depressurize, so I'll depressurize the tank. In fact, depressurize the springs first, so it should click all 4 at the same time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you wait 40 seconds, and it should then click them all again to close them, because effectively it takes 45 seconds to completely depressurize the system as far as the springs are concerned. And then the last one I'll check is the pipe that goes to the accumulator on the passenger side. There we are, all 4 again. And then depressurize the tank. Hang on a second, just waiting for the timer to finish here. There we are. Okay, right, that's done that. So that was the spring depressure. And again, using this menu here, I'll just depressurize the tank now. I can't get the laptop. There we are, you heard the solenoid click for the pipe that goes to the reservoir. I need to just go through what each of these numbers are. Each port is numbered. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 and 11. Couldn't tell you. It's just the way they are. Right, okay, 15 seconds left on that, and then I think the valve block will be ready for its O-rings that go into each of these ports, and then refit the adapters that go in there that hold the pipes in. There, that's the last of it. Right, that's done that. So I'm happy enough that each of those solenoids is clicking. Next steps. Right, next on the list, I have cleaned back all of the surface rust, and then I've treated the surface with the Hydrate 80 product from Built Hamber. It's the current rust conversion solution I quite like. Brushes on, dries fairly effectively, and you can paint straight over the top of it. So I'm going to paint this lot next. Just notice there's two fixings in there which are jammed in, so I might see if we can get those out. Hadn't realised that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'll get those two fixings out, then I'm going to paint the box and then let that dry in the sun, and I can reassemble the box tomorrow. In other news, and somewhat disappointingly, the lower tailgate had been scuffing on the top of the bumper. Now, the reason the lower tailgate is scuffing on the top of the bumper, I think, was because the top of the bumper had all of this extra rubbing strip and big lumps of rubber and everything glued along the top edge of this metal retaining strip, which should hold down the rubber strip. Now, the mistake I found here is, the reason I'm taking this off is because this strip is on, first and foremost, it's on back to front. Let's take my screwdriver bits out of the way. I've just dropped that one. So this flat edge here should be at this end, and that round edge there should be at this end, and then the rubber sits between the bumper blade and this strip, not underneath the bumper blade. So I'm going to take it all apart and see if we can't get that fixed. Now, it was a while ago, but someone was actually doing these strips again. If I can't get hold of one of these strips, what I'll do is I'll drill through, and I've got steel countersunk screws that I will put in, weld into place, and then skim over the top, fill, paint, and we can put it back together again. It's a most pleasant day, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to paint the box. Just used a single pack chassis paint. It might need a second coat, we'll see what it's like when it dries. So that's all those bits done. I haven't done anything more with the bumper. I've been busy doing that. I did change the internals of the filter, which is dead easy. Just use like something like a oil filter wrench to get the top end off it. They come off dead easily. It's only plastic, so you don't want to put too much weight into it. And then cleaned the pump up. And then thought, bags have arrived, so let's pop the bags on. Well, before I do that, I've got to, there's got a truck running out there, saving the planet. Before I put the bags on, I've got to clean all these up. So that's the face you really need to concentrate on cleaning up, because that's where the bag sits. But I was thinking, well, these things, they sit in the engine bay. And it looks like that. The back ones, probably, I'm going to put less effort into them, but it's the lower mounts that really, you want all of this to be really clean and tidy, purely because that's again where the bag sits, and all of that shit and grit up there is not going to do it any favours at all. So underside, just really clean it up with a wire brush. The sides I'm going to need to degrease first and then see where we need to go with it. And the top mountings, well, they're all fairly straightforwards. And then I'm going to need to replace all of the O-rings in here, so I need to take them out to find out whether they're 4 or 6 mil. It does vary, but that one, it's closer to where I want it to be. This one, yeah, all fun and games. There you go, hottest day of the year, and I'm messing around with airbags. Now the problem you get when you put a new airbag on the mounts is that it needs to roll over that. Bad enough getting the bloody springs up. As you can see here, I am some way out on this. So the gap I've got available, let me get my tape measure. Tape measure coming up. The gap between the top and the bottom is, I'm going to say I probably could get about 14, maybe 15 inches. And this chappie is 17 inches. I need to find 2 inches from somewhere. Poke that up there and clip it in place. And then, when that's clipped in place, bend the bag over. You can see how much fun this is. This is a lot of fun. Like that. And you end up sort of with the bag in that sort of orientation. Now what I'm going to need to do, I think, is pop the pins in top and bottom and hold the clips in, otherwise it just does that. And then I need to put some air in it. And we'll see what happens. Should be a laugh, shouldn't it? Anyway, that's going to happen tomorrow because door's closed, It's 6 o'clock. It is 30 degrees. And I am going home. Beautiful day. Left-hand bag is in. Ah, Richard, why didn't you show us how to do that? I don't know, because it's hot. It's 32 degrees today. Ah, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous day. Now, you come over here and you can look at me shouting at this side. Can we see what's going on? I'll put this down here. Put the James Mark II lights down here, which needs a clean. And power. There we go. And we are illuminated. Now, as you can see, I've popped the bag in. It is bent and it's all over the place. But what you really need to do is you need to get a pair of these clips. One top, one bottom. If you can get both on, then fantastic, but there's a reasonable chance you won't be able to. So what I normally do is just get them roughly in, hold them there with my finger, hold a drift, and continue to tap. They put up with a bit of resistance, I'm afraid. You have to tap them from side to side. Ah, rather helpfully, there goes my compressor on the discharge. Right, compressor's decided to stop discharging. Now, look at the back of my head. What I need to do really is to hold the base so it's roughly in place, and the peg on the far side is definitely coming through, which it is. The reason being is the peg on the far side, you really can't do an awful lot about it until the bag is inflated and pushing up against the underside of the turret. In fact, having said that, I can just about see the slot on the back of it. So I'm wondering if this might just go on here. The inside one's a faff. And as you can see, oh, it has gone on. Disconnecting the bottom of the bag kind of helps it. Gone on. Beautiful. Now, just in case you're wondering, the clips look like that. They've got a slot on the side which goes lowermost on the top, uppermost on the bottom, and then they've got like a little clip with a ramp. So the post that's on the bottom, the idea is that goes over that, and then when it's all completely in place, the middle of the post goes through there. I don't know if you can see that, or whether you can't see that. What I now need to do is go down here and wrestle the bottom of the bag in and onto the lower mount. Now I've got the axle as low as it will go. So it went down, and then I got it so that the axle was kind of hanging off the strut, if you get the drift. Right, that one's in. Is the one on the far side in? Not really. This is a faff, I'll be honest, but in fact we're hanging down on this side because I'm clear of the axle stand, but the axle stand is there. Right, now that's gone through. So now that that's gone through, let's line up another clip. Of course, the shock absorber mounting on the axle is completely in the fucking way. Why would it not be? I can't get to that one. Can I get to that one? Oh, I might be able to. Oh, yes, I can. Right, so it's got to that one. Let's tuck that one in. not a great instructional video, Richard, but I think if you can't figure it out, then there's not an awful lot I could put in this video that's going to help you. What I've just noticed is the bag on the other side, I've not put one of the clips on the bottom mounting. I'm looking at it from over here and I can see it's hanging out. So I'm going to have to inflate that bag very slightly in order to get the second clip on the bottom, or wait until I've done this side, then jack the axle up. That should put sufficient load, because the problem is that once the axle is down as low as it will go, the cups on the axle and the chassis are not parallel to each other. So you can see that's there and the axle's further forwards. There's not really a lot you can do about it. It is the way that they're designed for articulation, axle articulation. Right, that clips on. So that's two clips, one on each in the bottom, top and bottom. You can see how the bag is folded over in the middle there. Fret not. Do not distress yourselves with that. Now, I'm going to charge the compressor up, and I'm going to go and put that clip on the other side, and I'll be back to you. Oh, on a red hot Friday afternoon. Right, next what I do is I've got this old tyre inflator, and I've put a short piece of fuel hose on there and a little bit of the semi-rigid pipe that goes onto the top of each of the bags. And what I can do now is locate this onto the bag by pushing it past the new O-rings, which of course you fitted, and then I can inflate the bag. Now what I'm looking for here got quite a big leak on there. Why have we got such a big leak on there? That should be staying up. Ah, pipe wasn't pushed in. That's better. Right, now the problem now is you see the bag's trying to go off to one side. So really what I want to do now, I could try and jack the car, but I think there's probably too much air in that already. What I really want to do is have the bag pointing the other way. So I'm going to let all the air out of it, which is where the tyre pressure inflator comes into its own, purely because it allows me to, still quite a bit of air in there. Right, I'll do that. See if we can't manipulate the bag so it's folded in the other direction. It's a little bit better. What I can try and do, at the same time as I'm doing that, is from over here, I can jack the front axle. Are we on the stand? No, we're off the stand. Get the stand out of the way. So if I jack it up a couple of turns, I then put a bit of air into it, getting it straighter. Then let the air out and air in. And WD-40. Sorry from the bench. God, it's hot. Going out for a beer in a minute, I'll tell you. Right. Now, I'm just going to give the axle just another couple of jacks. I can feel it starting to lift the body, which is a good thing. And now, if I let a bit of the air out, as it comes down, it wants to start rolling over that. It's not going to go. going to put my ear defenders on because when this goes, it goes with quite a big bang. And this one is not as easy as the other one was for some reason. Right. See how that's now going down over the top? Rolling down now over the base, and the bag is no longer causing a problem. So now I'm going to track the axle up a bit further. And again, inflate and let down. More or less there. And inflate. So I can actually use this now, you see, to get this stand out. Just go a bit higher. Oh, bastard. I don't need the chassis stand anymore, but I do need the actual stand. Get out of it, you fucker. Oh, happy days. Right, now that stand can now go under the axle. And I can let the bag down. Right, that's it. 2 bags on. Just wear ear defenders, because if the bag is going to come off the mount, it will do it in about half a nanosecond. And it lets off quite a big noise too. They help. Right. So now I need to get the other big stand out of the front. Do it in exactly the same way, just by attaching the airline to the bag, pump the bag up, lift the body slightly, and then I can get the front down so it's supported on the axles, on bags, on the bump stops. And we've got both bags on the bump stops. That's an interesting bolt to find. Don't know what that's off. Both bags are on. We're on the bump stops. The bags will concertina up, but because they've rolled over the base, they should just go up to a standard height without popping off. They do pop off, and we take the bag off and do it again. But it's unlikely at this stage the bag's going to let go of its top or bottom mount. Right. Sweating like a pig. I'm going to have a cup of tea. 4:45 Friday. I'm going to be gone out of here in about 10 minutes, I reckon.